All right, everyone. I'm here with director Michael Mohan from Immaculate. His new movie just came out, or is coming out, I guess, this week as of us recording this. Hasn't actually dropped yet. By the time you guys hear it, it will have come out. But made its premiere at South by Southwest. It's been all over the internet, seeing it everywhere. So super grateful. Thank you for joining, Michael.
Well, thank you, Jeff. So just so people know, like I reached out to Jeff and was like, I watch your shit. Like when I'm doing the dishes, that's when I take in my physical media YouTube, and I have parasocial relationships with everybody. I've got one with you. I've got one with the guy, I forget his name, but his wife is always on him because he spends too much money on Blu-rays, and they do like the audit or whatever.
yeah, Ken from Mid-Level Media.
Ken needs a. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, go for it.
Ken needs a fucking budget. Like he should just be like, I'm going to spend $750 and then stick to it. Then he'll have a happier marriage. I have a parasocial relationship with Elliot Cohen, who has like the sexiest voice in physical media YouTuber. You know, like
he does. I just did a podcast with him, and I can't match his voice.
It's amazing. Sometimes when I'm sick, I'll put it on and I'll fall asleep to him. So it's like physical media ASMR, but I'm very excited to talk to you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess that's the first thing I want to talk about is just like how you're a collector, you're a physical media lover. Like what's your setup look like? Like how many, what are some of your favorite labels? What are you into?
I'm into all the same shit you guys are. Like It's all the same. The thing I don't have is I don't have a shelf. I live in a small house with two kids, and the living room is their room. So I just have piles of DVDs, not DVDs. I would never buy a DVD. I have piles of 4K Blu-rays and some regular Blu-rays everywhere. But Vinegar Syndrome, Second Sight. I love what Kino is doing. Shout Select. I mean, I'm following all of it, and it's expensive. You end up spending way too much money on all.
Those labels, especially the ones you named. Yeah, you're going for the pricier stuff for sure, but it's the good stuff. It's the great stuff.
Also, like I can also like write it off. So like I'm lucky in that sense because it's all it's quote unquote research. It is research. It is like I'm and so. But a big part of it, too, is like when I hear about a film, or if a film comes to 4K, for instance, that I've never seen, I'll just blind buy it. And then the fact that I've blind bought it means I have to watch it because I spent money on it. Right. And I also can justify it because I would have gone to the theater to see it. And here in LA, tickets are so expensive to things that purchasing a 4K Blu-ray that's $30 is about equivalent to like 2 movie tickets. So I've got a whole justification for how I do this and why I do this and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same, and having 2 kids myself, also getting to the theater is just not super easy all the time. So
I go all the time. I still go. I mean, I have to. It's what I do. But yeah,
if I was in LA and I had more access, I probably would too. It's New Hampshire, we don't have quite as many. I was blown away when I got out there in September, and I was just like, this is. I don't know where to start.
It's paradise. It's only getting better. Like in my neighborhood, the Vidiot's theater just opened, and it's just like I always think like if I moved somewhere else, I would be so depressed because of this, and I would just look at all of the calendars to like, and maybe like I'd use their curation to curate my own media diet.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I should start doing that. I should start looking at what Vidiot's is doing and what Tarantino's theater, the Beverly is up to.
It's
unbelievable. And just like pick from that list.
And what's so nice is that because of Letterboxd, you can actually feel like you're a part of that community. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing how some of these films end up having this sort of like second life. Like last year, I just remember To Live and Die in LA. It screened all the time here after Friedkin passed away. And then you saw online all of these people having these conversations about discovering it for the first time or reminiscing about when they saw it back in the 80s and how it like flopped, but it's like a masterpiece. And I don't know, it's kind of amazing. Like, I feel like we're in this incredible period of time for cinephiles in terms of access to the movies at high qualities and access to community building tools in order to have these conversations.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's my saving grace being in New Hampshire is that I have the online community, and that's a big reason why I started this because it was like, I mean, there's a decent scene in Boston, but I was a little bit north of that. And I was like,
totally.
I got to talk to people about this stuff because I feel like I'm going crazy. Like there's nobody to talk to around here.
I would start if I lived where you live, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's the thing that saved my mentality and is like, oh, Letterboxd, YouTube, Instagram, all of it. It's a great time to be involved.
And you've built such a community too. Like you have such a huge community that you tap into. So again, I just wanted to thank you for helping me reach all of those people to talk about this movie, you know, like, cause I feel like a lot of the people, you know, the Venn diagram between like horror nerds and physical media nerds is pretty, you know, the overlap is huge. And so hopefully if your viewers are into like more extreme horror, they hear our chat, they consider, you know, checking the movie out.
I think so. I wanted to ask, is that sort of your jam? Because I mean, the two feature films so far, right, have both been kind of psychological thriller, horror, like
ish. Yeah.
Is that your genre?
So I actually, it's interesting. I talk about my career path as kind of like a family circus cartoon where like you kind of have to go through the neighbor's backyard in order to end up back at your front door. Okay. And I feel like this week is like the first week where I really like feel like a real filmmaker. Cause when I need to couch this properly, but like when you release a film, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had in streaming. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't get any of those projects made any other way. I didn't move to LA from Massachusetts to make streaming movies. I moved here because I loved going to the theater and seeing them on a big screen. And so it will all, you know, once these movies are on streaming, they'll be there forever. But with this one, it's just so cool to go to a movie theater and like see the poster for my movie there. It's just unbelievable. And so, so it really feels amazing. I actually made, so to go back, you had asked me about like sort of my genre and all that stuff. And, and I don't know that I've been able to define it to myself even. I actually made a feature film way back in 2010 that was like a micro budget, like indie drama called One Too Many Mornings that we shot on nights and weekends over the course of 2 years with the same DP that I still work with today. And so that was like an indie drama. From there, I did a feature film that was like a very low budget sort of, it's not like a romantic comedy, but like just a romance film, a romantic dramedy, maybe, I guess. It was very light, very soft, kind of, it riffed on, there's this graphic novelist I really love, I should say, Jeffrey Brown. And it was sort of in his voice. But then, you know, after, you know, pivoting to TV for a bit and doing Everything Sucks, which was like a coming of age show, The Voyeurs was really like, that was, you know, that's like a full on straight ahead, like erotic thriller. And then when Sydney contacted me Sydney actually hired me for this one. She was like, have you been interested in doing a horror film? And I love horror. I've loved it forever. And now I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm hooked. Yeah. I'm like hooked. It's so fun. It's just so fun. It's fun making it. It's fun like releasing it. It's fun sitting in the audience and hearing people scream and knowing that I did that. You know, like it's a blast. And it's also, you know, a more challenging genre to be a director in.
That's interesting. I wouldn't. Yeah, horror is really, because there's that fine line between like it can fall flat or it can truly scare people, and there's a very, very fine line between the two that I imagine was weighing on you quite a bit.
Well, it's all on my shoulders, right? Because the scares come with technique, right? Like you have to, like you can't just film it like a traditional drama and expect people to get scared. You have to like move your camera and know how you're going to cut it and have a handle on like, if you're doing a jump scare, when is the sound hit? When does the reaction to the jump scare hit? And how are you revealing all of that? That's a really delicate balance, you know? But yeah, I'm hooked.
No, I mean, I've been hooked on it since I was like 5 years old. So I can't imagine if I got to make one, I'd probably be super hooked too. But you did touch on like, so Sydney Sweeney kind of hired you. And I thought this was interesting. There's like kind of a crazy long like journey on this movie, right? From like script to screen. And I saw an article, maybe she auditioned for it like years ago, didn't get it, and then got the rights. Is that, I mean, I just find that to be pretty fascinating.
It's nuts. So my relationship to it, I've worked on it for a year and a half. So for me, it was like the fastest movie that ever got made. For Andrew, the writer, this is his first produced credit. He started writing it 18 years ago. And wow. he wrote it 18 years ago, went through development hell. It was like set up at a studio, right? It had a very traditional ending. Sydney auditioned for it. This was like 10 years ago now. Sydney auditioned for it. The movie fell apart. Sydney always had in the back of her mind, but then when she, after Euphoria season 2, like basically her fans were like, you got to do a horror movie, like get out there. And she wanted to produce. She remembered the script, and then she was able to call the writer out of the blue, and he was like, hello, oh, it's Sydney Sweeney. I'd like to make your movie. What? And right. It happened a little bit differently than that, but it basically was that. And then, she sent it to me, and then 3 months later I was in Rome, so it was fast for me, but it was real slow for everybody else.
That's awesome. And did you guys do it all? Was it all shot in Rome? Or were some, because it looked that way. I wasn't sure. Obviously, there's movie magic, but it looked great.
I mean, thank you. It was, we had a very short window of time because Sid had to be in Australia to shoot Anyone But You, and she went straight there. Like, so basically,
she's been busy.
No shit. We finished shooting, and then the next day she got on a plane, went to Australia, and then was doing like fittings and all of that for Anyone But You. And it was wild. Yeah, we were in Rome. We shot in the main location was this place called Villa Parisi that was like where heaps of giallo films had been shot. So you could really feel the history there in the walls. And then, there's a climactic sequence that takes place underground in the catacombs. That was real. There were remains of dead people everywhere we were. The whole thing was shot in Rome very quick.
Yeah, no, it definitely, I was feeling that giallo, like, are those some of the movies that kind of, when you're crafting the vision for what this looks like, I mean, are those some of the inspirations? Because I felt that pretty heavily.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you have to pay homage to the greats that came before you, but I also didn't want to like cosplay as a different filmmaker, But and what I was interested in when I was doing the research and starting to watch some of those movies was, I didn't want to do what Edgar Wright did with Last Night in Soho, because he has such incredible technique, and it's that sort of unnaturalistic, surrealist lighting. And ours was a lot more natural, but the spectrum of giallo, goes, not everybody is Fulci, there is more naturalistic stuff. So for me, it was this film called What Have You Done to Solange? That's just very beautiful, natural lighting, really good camera blocking, which I'm really into. And so, we do have some of we have the black gloves, and, we do have one scene that has like a harsh red light, but it was really much more in the like deeper essence of and the movie's also not a whodunit, which giallos are almost all. But, we did use the score from a giallo film called The Red Queen Kills 7 Times in like a montage scene. And then it was just sort of felt just in where we were, it like looks like a giallo film because a shit ton of giallo films were filmed where we shot,
Yeah, no, but to your credit, it's definitely, it stands on its own. It's not like copycat stuff. You can feel the inspiration, but it's got its own kind of look and feel to it it's different than,
that's the hope.
And I could tell that, and you've worked with the same DP, right? So is it, I want to get his name right. Yeah,
it's Elijah. It's Elijah.
Elijah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to guess Elijah, and I want to make sure I got it right.
No, totally.
I felt like I was going to like this going into it because I could see the style, and I was like, it's almost like, those movies like A Midsummer where it's like, it's this beautiful setting and it's all shot in the day, and it's like the most disturbing things are happening. And it's that messes with me so much. And it's like, you're in this beautiful setting in Rome, even when they're outside for the short time driving, it's like the cinematography and everything. It's like, it's beautiful. Why are so many disturbing things happening? That's messing with my mind. So I think it was really, really well done. And you guys did a great job together on that. I thought it was really, really well shot. So wanted to give him his props.
Yeah, totally. We also, I mean, the thing about the crews in Italian is that they take so much pride in their craft, and so even though we didn't have a whole lot of time, and on top of that, typically when you're shooting a movie, you work 12-hour days, which usually has, there's also overtime, and, it can very easily snowball. In Rome, you've got 10 hours. And if you want overtime, like the line producer has to go to each crew member and say, hey, are you cool with working another 15 to 30 minutes? And if one person says no, then you don't get it. And so the fact that they were such great craftspeople was like really the way we could actually pull off such crazy visuals in such a short amount of time in this, sort of very unique setting.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. And I think it looked like most of the cast they were Italian actors. And then a lot of the crew was as well.
Almost everybody. I mean, cool. I only brought out my DP, my production designer, and my AD. And then we had a US line producer and some of the producers, but everyone was Italian. And then Alvaro Morte was the only other actor. We brought him in from Spain, but the rest of the cast, 100% Italian.
Yeah. That's just, there was something about it. It was just very authentic. Yeah.
Thanks.
Exactly. And you could feel that. And it was, I definitely felt that watching it. And I think you've worked with on the music side too, the score. That's a huge part of the film. You mentioned kind of where some of the inspiration comes from. You worked with, it was Will Bates who worked on this one. You worked with him for a while too, right?
Yeah, so, he's a mad genius. And what I love about him, so he's also like the son of horror royalty. His dad is Ralph Bates, who he's acted in so many Hammer horror movies. Like if you've ever seen Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, he's the lead of that. Yeah. And so he's got this creative spirit, like this wily creative spirit in his bones. But what I really dig about how Will's approach to music is that he leaves in all of the like human elements. Like he'll oftentimes will like, for instance, like there's this sort of sound that comes through the movie often that almost sounds like a wooden heartbeat. And it goes thump, 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 thump. That is the pedal of one of the organs he was playing. So he liked the sound of that creaky, like, it's just off kilter, Yeah. Or like one of the main ingredients in the soundscape is not just piano, but the piano string played by him running his fingernail along it, which was actually proved to be quite painful, but it sounded incredible, He just got a very strange, anti-manicure doing it,
I can imagine. But yeah, it had, that's so cool when you find little pieces like that, because it almost gives it, it's like it has its own little trademark sound. And there is that kind of constant, that little heartbeat sound. There's a constant theme throughout that kind of brings you through each moment, which is really cool.
And it gives the film its own identity too, because it doesn't sound like 800 other, like the movie doesn't look like any other horror movie that's come out in a long time. It also doesn't sound like it. It has such a unique sound. And so I feel like for me as a director, like one of the most important things is just to inspire everybody to do their best work. And oftentimes you're faced with things are falling apart all the time. Every minute something is going wrong. And when something's going right, you just embrace it and you empower whoever's making that thing go right, continue to make it go right. And so with Will Bates, it was always, he had written a piece of music prior to us shooting, because there was a few like on camera, like the part where she has that ceremony and it's that she's dressed as the Madonna and it's pulling out. You see people singing a song. So he wrote that song, and that was the first piece of music he wrote for the movie. And we're on set and I got it. And I went to the sound guy. I was like, can we play this for everybody? I'd love for everybody to hear it. And literally it stopped everybody in their tracks. And hearing that one piece of music and how powerful it was. Also, I think it helps set the tone too for the crew to go like, oh, this is really good. Like there's something like, I know this is like a grimy horror movie, but they're like doing some cool shit here. And because of that, I was able to just go to Will and be like, just keep going. Just keep doing whatever you're doing is working. Just keep going. I'm not going to interfere. Yeah. And the only thing that we had to like sort of figure out is like, were there synths? Did synths make sense in this world? Were there any instruments that didn't quite fit the, and then modulating the tone a little bit here and there. But, yeah, it was his music is one of my favorite parts of the film.
Yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it. And that scene is like icon. Is it too much to say iconic? But like that's
you're saying
the
it,
scene.
Not me. You're saying
yeah.
It, not
I
me.
mean that's the scene that I was like that. Obviously, and then the ending, which I don't want to give away because everyone should just experience it.
Yeah,
but like that's an iconic. I was like, this is such a cool moment, but also so creepy, so chilling because you sort of know like something is wrong, but we don't know what yet. We don't know what's wrong, and I didn't guess correctly, which I also loved.
Yeah, I mean, when I read Andrew's script, I will say that the reveal that happens, like, because we changed a lot about the script. Originally, she was a high school girl. I changed it to be a nun. But that key reveal that we're not going to spoil, I did not see it coming, even though it's totally planted. It's totally there. But it takes a lot to surprise me. So yeah.
I loved it. But if you watching it again, then you're
so
like,
obvious.
Right now I see it. Yeah, it was planted, but it was right in front of you, but you didn't. It didn't give anything away. Yeah, no. Like I would have never. Yeah, I would have never gone down that path.
That's the thing that's been so fun is seeing people who watch the trailer and they're like, they gave away the whole movie, and I'm like, no, we didn't. Like the movie that you think that this movie is such a worse version of what this movie is.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I was like, I like the vibe of this. I like what's going on, but watching the trailer, I was expecting something else, and I was pleasantly surprised at what I got because it was it was original. It tried something new. It did something new. Because there have been other movies like this. I was basically in my head, I'm like, I'm Rosemary's Baby, right? I'm like, okay, I've seen this. So is this modernized, Rosemary's Baby? But it does a lot more than that, which is really cool. Yeah, I don't think anyone's expecting what's coming. So buckle up for that one.
I mean, now they might be. Now they're going to be all looking for it. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they figure it out.
I still don't think they will.
Yeah.
Going into it, I'm thinking the whole time, right? You're always trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Like, what?
Exactly.
Because something's wrong. You feel it from from your opening. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is not going to be maybe a fun ride. There's something fun in a weird, macabre way, but right away. Okay, maybe something's wrong here. And you're trying to figure out what it is. And I kind of liked that setup too.
Yeah.
It doesn't hide that. It's you're gonna take a ride here. But I also loved kind of how it was paced because everything these days is so it can be so long and so drawn out. And I was like, I turned my wife who watched it with me, which
how'd she do? Was she okay?
She was okay. But
all right, you're like watching it right now.
It affected.
It's gnarly.
Her.
It's very gnarly.
Yeah, it affected her to a degree that I don't think I can appreciate. So yeah,
we will never. Like my wife can't. I mean, I'm sorry. Like actually, if it's serious, I'm sorry about that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. My wife can't watch the last 5 minutes. She can't do it. She can't handle it. And I think also like if your viewers are watching this, they're really sensitive to more extreme horror. They definitely shouldn't check. This. I mean,
it gets
we go pretty
extreme.
Hard. Yeah.
It gets there. Yeah, and that last third is like there's no punches held back, which I like personally because I go for it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go for it, go for it. But I did like 15 minutes in, I turned to her and I think I literally said like, oh, we're getting right into it. Like we're jumping right in. They're not, this isn't dragging, like boom. And I loved that pacing because it was like, here's what's happening. Here's your intro. Here's what's coming. And then you have to just kind of, you sit with that. Like I love a movie like Hereditary, but you kind of sit for like an hour and a half being like, what's kind of happening? And then the last 20 minutes are amazing and you're super creeped out. But this one, it's like, ooh, 15 minutes in, I'm like, I'm unsettled already. And like, what's going to happen for the next 70, because we're already here, you know, in the first third.
I mean, there's several, like, to me, I think genuinely, I think movies are too fucking long. They're just too long. Like, I
agree.
Like, I think that when you become an auteur at a certain level, you're not surrounding yourself with people who are saying like, hey buddy, like maybe think about spending some more time on this. I think they're just like, I finished a movie. It's done. Let's go on to the next one. And they're just trying to crank them out, which I also get, but the level of rigor involved in the storytelling just isn't there. Even though people can argue, yeah, it's all this depth and yada, yada, yada. But I don't know. You got 2 kids too. It's like, I want to, like, when a perfect date night, because I was thinking about this the whole time. I was like, I want this movie to be babysitter worthy. I want to deliver enough good stuff so that it's babysitter worthy, but also that you can go get dinner afterwards and talk about the movie, and still, like, you'll be home in 3 hours total, including dinner and the movie. And when you're talking about the movie, the movie will have woken you up, because half the time I go see like a 3-hour movie, go to dinner with my wife, and we're just too tired to like even talk about the movie. It didn't have and so in that way, the movie didn't have an impact on us. It just wore us down. And it's like we checked a box on a list of films that we were supposed to see because the culture was telling us to see it. And so here, it's time for us to have fun, you know? Like,
it's refreshing. Yeah.
Go past.
I'll tell you, like, as a parent, it's like if it's a weeknight, especially, but here's the routine: put the kids to bed. Okay, are we going to watch a TV show or a movie? Okay, if it's a movie, I go into my app for my collection and I sort by everything under 100 minutes.
Yes,
and that's all I can pick from. So I saw this and I was like, 87 minutes. This is beautiful. We're going to be able to watch this thing, and you're going to be affected by it, and it's going to leave us time to talk about. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And without credits, it's 82. So like, you know, if you don't, there's no post-credit scene on this one. So
no,
you know,
I waited.
You should stay and listen.
Yeah.
You should stay and listen to Will Bates' score, but
it's beautiful.
You know, if you got shit to do, you know, you can also listen to it on Spotify, because it's going to be out there soon too.
Yeah, it is haunting. I let those credits run, and it's actually, I love that kind of movie where that last scene is going to sit with you, and then the music comes in and you're just kind of like frozen. You just kind of stare at it.
Yeah.
And the music's still going, and it keeps you in that world for just a couple minutes longer. So it was really well done there. But the timing just, it moves, which I love. Yeah. Like
thank you.
Oppenheimer's a lot of fun, but I have to watch these things as like a mini series sometimes. Yeah. Because it's just, you know, but to that point, now I don't, maybe we can't, but I thought there was a little bit, like, there's some mythology here that isn't fully fleshed out, because you're telling one story, but there's more here.
Yes.
Is that something that you'd be interested in exploring more? Or, because some directors would say, I want to do 5. Some would say, no, I want my one project, you know, short and sweet.
If people really want, and like, first of all, it's up to Sydney and Andrew, the writer. You know, I just directed it, but like, as a fan of them, if people want a sequel to this movie, I know how we could get there. I definitely know how we could get there. I think the mythology that you're talking about might be relating, is because people have seen the trailer. There are these characters that are like these red veiled nuns that show up, right? Is that what you mean? Yeah, they're basically
that, and when you get to the reveal, there's a little bit more added history to what's happening.
Yes, absolutely, and that can be. There's way more that could be uncovered there.
Right.
With the red veiled nuns, they're kind of like the stormtroopers, and I wanted to use them a little, like, you know, I wanted to use them a lot more, but I like the climax of our film takes place so for the people who don't know, the climax of the movie takes place in the catacombs. I had 7.5 hours to shoot the whole climax of the movie. And every hour and a half we had to go up to breathe oxygen and come back down, shoot some more. And so I wanted to I don't want people to not think, anyways, there was an improvement that I could have made to that sequence if I had more time that also would have paid off the Red Veiled Nuns, but I just simply did not have time. And so they just became stormtroopers, basically, really evil stormtroopers,
No, I like that analogy though, because even in the red, you know what is funny is I was looking at them and I was like, I feel like they look familiar in some way. And now I'm thinking it's like that, the Imperial Guard or whatever that have like, they have the red hoods almost. They're a different type of storm, and I was like, you just had it click for me. I was like,
interesting.
Maybe that's where I've seen. Yeah, I was like, that's where I've seen. They're creepy and they're kind of completely veiled, and you don't know what's behind there. And that's what it was. It just clicked for me.
Well, it's also like one of those things where, like, I feel like I don't know. I love all horror movies. I go see everything. Every major horror film. Like basically, once I signed on to this project, I was like, I'm going to build up my movie ticket karma. And so my wife and I have an agreement where once a week I can go out to the movies and she'll watch the kids, and then we can do a vice versa.
Okay. I need that agreement sent over after this.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And so Thursday nights, I go to the Burbank 16 theater around the way, and like that's where I saw The Pope's Exorcist, or like The Exorcist, the Exorcist reboot, or any number of anything that's come out in the last 2 years. I was there opening night, and I hope they all come for mine. But the huge difference between our film and everything else is that ours isn't supernatural. There's no computer generated being at the end that they're trying to fight with the power of God, and so I had to rely on much more like simple iconography. And to me, I think that there's just something way more scary about like an actual human wearing an actual costume, and it's literally just this red veil that obscures their face. And I'm going to have nightmares over that way more than I am some like, sweaty creature made out of ones and zeros that is maybe too, it's just that approach is just not, it doesn't excite me as much as a filmmaker than coming up with something just simple,
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It's that more like, it's more grounded in reality. And that's what, personally, I mean, there's people out there who love that other stuff, but personally, that's the stuff that scares me, is like, like that could happen. That's really happen.
I mean, and I, without going into detail, like every single thing that happens in this movie is entirely plausible. So,
absolutely.
And that's the thing that's crazy about it. I mean,
humans are the scariest creatures. Yeah, we are the scariest creatures on the planet. I've always said that the monster of the human is always the thing that gets me in horror movies more than the monster. And
right. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, but so on Sydney Sweeney too. Has she done? Now I think I saw she maybe did a horror movie when she was a lot younger. She did a John Carpenter movie, I think. I don't know how much she was in it. I don't remember, but this was kind of her first, right?
She had done, she was like had a small part in that. She had a small part in this movie called Zombies of Mass Destruction. It was like a couple lines, and then she got hit by a car.
I saw that clip on one of the late night shows. Right? It's hilarious. Yeah.
So funny. And then she did a film for Amazon called Nocturne that is kind of like a thrill. It was like a Welcome to the Blumhouse low budget kind of thing. That she's really good in. She plays like a musician. Anyways, but this was the first like horror, and she produced it. She had the vision for this, sort of the vision to bring me on.
I mean, she produced it and she absolutely killed it. Like
slays.
New scream queen. Like her scream is unreal. I know you told me before I watched it, you said, hey, turn the volume up and don't wake the kids. And there were a couple times when I said, oh shit, I'm going to wake the kids. Like it was, she was unreal. Like it was on a next level, committed fully. Like you could tell that, I guess having produced it and having really pushed to get this made, like she was 110% in on this thing, and she gave it her all, and it was wild. So I give huge props considering, like, I think everyone's going to want more of that now. It was unbelievable.
I do. I want to see her do like 10 more horror movies. I mean, it was amazing. She's so good at it. It's also the only reason that would stop her is because it's fucking easy for her. Like that last scene that last scene, what you see in the movie is take one. You know, like there wasn't any warming up.
Really?
We just figured out the camera blocking. We like sort of, all right, you're going to start here. You're going to walk over here. You're going to walk back. Camera pan down. You know, all that stuff.
The final moments, the last cut to credits. Yes. That was one take.
Yeah. Well, we shot a couple, but like it is what's.
But it's the first one. That's unreal.
Yeah. We shot a second one for safety, and then we shot a couple different variations. But yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and what's crazy is like she just goes there. She just does it.
Yeah.
And then the instant you call cut, it's like she just like comes back to being Sydney, and she's like, "How was it? Should we go again? What do you think?" You know, and here she is covered in blood, sweaty and snotty, and she's just like, "Ready to go? Let's go. Let's do it." You know?
Yeah, I think that is going to. Yeah, I think that's going to shock some people how all in she goes. If you've only seen some of the other stuff she's done, which she's also great in.
Yeah.
But like, boy, another level here. It was
another level.
Big props. So
I'm so yeah. It's really, she's having a really interesting 2020.
Hell of a year. Yeah. Like we're only in March. Yeah. I know. It's been an insane year for her. She's great on SNL too. I watched that whole episode. I know. She was wonderful there. So yeah, she's got a bright future, especially if she wants to do and producing and finding good projects like this. Like, good for her. I give her a lot of credit for this one.
I give her a lot of credit also for like, what I gave her, like, I don't want to say I gave her first shot, because that's not what it was. She earned her way to be a collaborator on Everything Sucks. And I saw even back then just how awesome of a human being she is, like on set. She learns everybody's job. She learns everybody's name. She would come in on her off days to ask questions about lenses. She'd like shadow the ACs. She'd shadow the sound mixers. And so she always has been like just genuinely curious about the filmmaking process and is a cinephile herself. And then when we worked on Voyeurs, it was just that much easier, and that much, just our shorthand just went such a long way on that film. And in a movie where you're making something that's pretty risque, it like our, sort of our bond, I guess, or our working relationship really helped everybody around us, go like, oh, okay, they really, really care about this. This isn't just some tawdry thing. And then when she, I just feel so grateful that she brought me on to this, because I was able, as a producer, obviously she's thinking about this from a commercial perspective and making sure that she's delivering something that she thinks people are going to actually want to see. Mm-hmm. At the same time, she encouraged me to lean into my instincts visually. And she encouraged me to get out of my own head, to just embrace the process that was the making of this movie, which was a lot different than how I'd worked in the past. And I'm definitely walking away from this experience like such a better filmmaker, having collaborated with her in this deeper way. And so I give her a lot of credit too, because she could have found some other person who had directed 1 million horror movies and hire them. But instead she saw the value that I brought to it and fought for me. And we got to make this thing that's, both hopefully commercial, but also like something that, is, goes hard and feels different and feels.
Oh yeah. Oh, it definitely goes hard, but yeah, you guys obviously have like a nice, there's something clicking there. So hopefully
it's just easy. It's just easy.
Yeah.
So,
you can tell. I mean, I think, and that's part of it. All came together and it all worked. Like the people involved, it felt pretty good from what I saw. Like everyone was bought in, awesome. Committed, and you don't always get that with everything. You can kind of tell sometimes if someone's not committed, or I felt like that. Everyone was bought in. It felt really good. Yeah. So that's important. But yeah, so I did want to ask sort of this being, you talked a little bit about like you'd done streaming stuff before. This is the first wide theatrical release, and the marketing from, I'm a marketing guy. That's what I do for my day job.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I do digital marketing for my day job. And I'm like, what Neon is doing for the marketing on this thing has been genius and like, super hard. Like I can't go anywhere without seeing it. And I don't, maybe it's just me because I've been interacting with it all, but boy, it's everywhere. Every app I open, I'm like, there, Sydney's doing something. There's, you guys did some incredible like screenings in the premiere and like super cool. So how is that experience and the response that you've seen, like compared to everything else you've done?
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. This is like, I don't want to, in praising Neon, I don't want it to seem like I'm disparaging the people I've worked with before.
No.
However, there is a huge difference between how they're handling this and anything else I've ever done. I think in the streaming era, they kind of just rely on the platform to be the advertising. Whereas this, we got to get people to leave their houses and go to a theater. So it has to be a lot more aggressive. But the way they're handling it is just so cool and classy. And oh God, they just care about the movie so much. The head of marketing over there is this guy named Christian Parks, and he and his whole team are just down. They're just game. And like, they come up with these crazy ideas, like let's bring a nun to the premiere, and then literally like there's an actual nun at the premiere, and they're not afraid to take risks, like or quote unquote, take risks, like having a screening in a church and like inviting all these people to come. And they're really, we're never going to have like the same marketing budget as like a Universal movie, obviously, like the Fast and Furious movies. But I feel like they understand who is going to love this film, and they're figuring out the materials to make those people excited to see it and make it turn it into an event. And then I think they're just really smart in terms of targeting those people so that guys like you get 800 ads for it. And people who are never going to go see it, people who are never going to go see a horror movie, hopefully we're not spending a dime on them, So
yeah, I mean, if I'm the target, then I'll tell you, like I think the only reason we're even here right now is because I saw the ad for it. I left a comment like, this looks nuts. I think you liked the comment, and then I was like, oh shit, he follows me. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, well, I should reach out and say, dude, this looks incredible. Good for you. So like they hit their target.
And then I got to invite myself onto your show.
Which no, please, anytime. But yeah, I mean, they have nailed that. So it must feel good. And as a marketing guy, I give them a ton of props because I know the budgets aren't, what a Universal or Warner has, and they're being very creative, and it's really cool.
And I can say, no matter what happens this weekend, everyone on that team worked so fucking hard. They're working long hours. They're like really going for it. They're putting their whole hearts in it. So like at the end of the day, no matter what our box office ends up being, I know I'm walking away from this knowing everyone top down, like spared no expense, at least spared no expense within the confines of the expenses that we had,
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So, and I will say, like, if you have the chance, so I watched this at home. Now, granted, I have a pretty good system, so I felt decent about that. But I'm going to tell you, the only reason I had to watch it at home, I'm going out for a wedding opening weekend, and I'm actually going to be out in California, so I'm flipping coasts, but I don't have time to go see it. I'm in this wedding. I'm officiating the wedding. When I get back, I'm gone for the opening weekend, which I'm like, damn. But when I get back, I'm finding like the first one I'm going to go see it in theaters again, because those experiences, it's that type of movie that I want to be there with an audience, because the best, like going to Hereditary on opening night is still one of my highlights because they did a great job with that marketing. Nobody knew it was going to happen. We all thought one thing. It turned out to be another. The audible gasps and silence in the crowd. Like it's an amazing experience. So if you can get out opening weekend, like go see it with a packed audience. It's worth it. I think it's going to be worth it for watching everybody else's reactions alone and just seeing how a group reacts to what happens. But it's definitely one of those that turn the lights off. You got to turn the music up loud. Like the theater is going to be the place where this will really hit you pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah. I hope they go too. I hope they tell us, I hope they like reach out and let me know what they think, this is, the people you're talking to are my kind of people, so
it's one of us. Yeah. You're in the same community. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's pretty awesome. And yeah, congrats on
Thank you.
Hopefully all the future success, but all the success so far, just the amount of the premieres and South by Southwest and all the coverage I've seen on it. I mean, it's made an impact. Like you said, no matter what happens with the box office, it's made an impact, and it's going to be remembered. So it's a really cool thing to have.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
All right. Well, super appreciate this.
Yeah.
Super cool to see you and meet you in person. We've been talking for like a month leading up to this, and I was so amped to see it, and was so happy I could finally check it out and then talk to you about it. It's super, super cool. I've never had that experience before, so thank you for being the first. Of course.
And then when our physical really cool. when our physical media comes out, I'll have to come back on and tell people about it. You know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's in the cards, right? I've got to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you offline more information about it that I cannot share here.
Okay.
But
all right,
I will tell you more about it. I have some insight.
All right. Okay. I love that.
All right.
But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
All right.